Hello, my name is Michael Aylmer, and for those who have not met me yet, I am your new curate. And now is probably a good time to tell you a little about myself. I've just spent 3 years at a theological college called Cuddesdon, just outside Oxford. Before then, I spent a year in Herefordshire, experiencing work with 12 rural churches across 2 benefices, which I absolutely loved. I was on something called the Church of England Ministry Experience Scheme, and if you know anyone who is between the age of 18 and 30 and is interested in exploring church ministry, I would highly recommend the Ministry Experience Scheme as a way of discerning your vocation. Before then, I worked for a few years in a publishing company called Chambers & Partners, which does legal directories. I know, exciting, right? But this part of my journey really began when I was 18 years old at my sister's confirmation, when I felt I should probably do more with my life than just turn up to church on a Sunday. I didn't know what I should do or what God might have in plan, but I prayed to God asking what I should do. And I don't normally remember my dreams, but that night I had a very vivid image of me all dressed up like a vicar standing in a pulpit. And when I woke up later, I thought, isn't that nice? And then I thought, oh well, I'm glad it was just a dream, because it's not something I think I really want to do, and I can now forget about that quite easily. But I don't normally remember my dreams, and it was a very vivid image, and it wouldn't go away, and eventually I had to do something about it. And eventually I got here, as you see me now. Now, of course, when people talk about vocation, they very often mean a vocation to the priesthood or a calling to a specific vocation, like being a medical professional or a teacher. But vocation is really about what God is calling us to do in any given moment in time. How are we called to act towards the people in front of us? It is a very great spiritual discipline, and one I try to be more conscious of, to bring every moment before God and to allow God to guide and direct us in the moment. My specific vocation here in St Mary Magdalene, Enfield, for 3 years is as assistant curate. Technically, Father James is the curate who has the cure of souls of the parish, but I will do my best to assist in that role. I'm also a deacon, not a priest, though all being well, I will be a priest next year. But I will now always be an ordained deacon. A deacon is a servant who ministers to God's people. When in a service I wear a stole, the sort of sash thing, diagonally, that's meant to represent the role of a servant, because it comes from John 13, where Jesus tied a towel around himself and washed the feet of his disciples, just as a slave would wash the feet of his master. It isn't clear in John's Gospel how Jesus ties the towel, and many assume he had tied it around his waist, though Bernard in his commentary says Jesus would have tied it in the traditional manner of a slave from the shoulder, so keeping his hands free for the jug and basin he needed to wash the feet. That's a powerful reminder of both the deacon's role to serve and all our calling to serve as Jesus did. I am very, very grateful that you have been so welcoming to me here and allowed me to learn how to be a minister among you. I will inevitably do some things that are wrong, and you will probably have to forgive me. And so I'd really just like to say thank you very, very much for having me.